change my Zoom name here, but my pronouns are she, her, and I work with our communications team at Regional Arts and Culture Council, RAC for short, if you're not familiar with that acronym. And it's really exciting to be here. We're here to talk about the new public mural opportunity, which is titled Fresh Paint. And it's a collaboration between RAC and Open Signal, which is another organization here in Portland that you're going to learn a little bit about. The purpose of this info session, you might have caught up Daniela and I over on Instagram last week. But the purpose is really just to talk through the opportunity in a little bit more depth. Who is eligible, what sort of piece we're looking for or artists we're looking for, learn a little bit about the history of the Fresh Paint project and how both Open Signal and RAC are connected to that and how we work together, and then talk through some of the logistics around, like I said, eligibility, but also compensation and timeline and format and all that jazz. And then really also to take your questions. We really hope this can feel like a conversation. It does to me. I hope it can for you as well. If you have questions or ideas or thoughts that you're thinking through as you consider applying for this opportunity, this is the time to ask those and to hear really from Salvador and Daniela, both as the experts here leading this project. So I think if you each want to introduce yourselves, you probably have already thought about what you might say, and hopefully share a little bit about Open Signal and RAC, or maybe that will come later. But I will just say that Salvador is here from RAC and Daniela is here from Open Signal, and I will let the two of them lead us. So the only other thing I'll say as far as logistics is if you have questions or want to ask anything as we go, you are welcome to put that in the chat, and I will track that the whole time and just make sure we come back to all of those things, or you're welcome to hold your question and ask it yourself on video at the end.
Thanks, Anna. Daniela, do you want to go first? You want me to go first? Who goes first?
Here, why don't I go first? Hi, my name is Daniela Serna, and I am with Open Signal. I'm representing Open Signal on this project. At Open Signal, I am the communications and program manager. So over my time at Open Signal, I facilitated various of our artist residencies and
recording in progress.
In particular, for the past couple of years, and I hold it very near and dear to my heart, and I'll hand it over to Salvador.
Thanks, Daniela. Hi, everyone. My name is Salvador Mayoral. I work at RAC, Regional Arts and Cultural Council, and I am the Public Arts Senior Specialist there. Primarily, my work is to oversee public art projects as well as the murals program. There's a number of projects I've been doing recently, such as like the Multnomah County Central Courthouse, creating some of the exterior murals that are on the temporary boards outside, as well as an interior mural project that's happening indoors. I also recently worked with Molly Mendoza to install a new mural in Lens Park. And right now I am in the process of working with artists who will be creating work for Arrow Heights Park. So lots of different projects throughout different parts of the city. Yeah, and I should just say, as most arts administrators, they usually have a background in art themselves in some way. And my particular history as an artist is actually as a musician and a writer. And so that's sort of how I came into the field, and yeah.
All right, well, yeah, once again, thanks everyone for coming. We really appreciate you taking time out of your evening to come learn more about Fresh Paint. What we'll do is we will go through the background of the program and give you all the info about it and talk about the application process. And then at the end, we'll take questions. So I'll just reiterate what Anna said. If you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat right now. and then we will address them at the end. If you are in the Zoom with us, please, for the sake of everyone's connections, if you would turn off your video and stay on mute until it's time to ask questions. Thanks.
I guess I will share this PowerPoint that we've created. Let's see here. And okay. So yeah, we are here for Fresh Paint, temporary mural project for emerging artists of color. These are just some examples of some of the past projects we've done, and we'll talk a little more about that here. So to continue what Daniela was saying, this is our agenda. We've done intros of the participating staff. I will talk a little bit about RAC a little more. Daniela will talk more about Open Signal. We'll get into Fresh Paint. We'll talk about eligibility, selection process and criteria, artist responsibilities, how to apply, the application materials, installation dates, and then again, some of these past Fresh Paint participants, all of it culminating in a Q&A for folks who want to ask questions of us about the project. And yeah, we're available. So I'll begin with RAC. So this is just a picture of actually what our building looks like. We are based in the Pearl, right next to the North Park blocks. We are still working from home, so we haven't been in that building for a year and a half now, almost. But yeah, that's what it would look like. That's what it looks like. And that's where we would normally be. So RAC is, who is RAC? RAC is a nonprofit. We actually used to be the city and county's arts bureau. And then in the mid-90s, we left the city and county, became a nonprofit, and then actually contracted right back with the city and county to handle their arts investments. And those arts investments are lots of different things. We provide grants for artists and arts organizations. We have a robust public art program, and I'll talk a little more about that. We convene forums, we do networking events, we do other kinds of community gatherings, we provide workshops and other forms of technical assistance. We support equity-based arts education, and then we advocate for equity, inclusion, and access in all of our work that we do, which is really important to us. And I'll talk also a little bit about that here in a minute. So I work in public art particularly, and that's sort of where Fresh Paint sits within the organization. Public art, we do a lot of things, as you can see here, but a lot of that work that we do is actually supported through the Percent for Art ordinance. And what that is that the city of Portland and Multnomah County have what is called a Percent for Art ordinance. And that is capital construction projects for public buildings. 2% of those budgets go towards public art, towards art. And actually that ordinance is what funds most of our programming that you see here. So with it, that's allowed us to do outdoor permanent work, architecturally integrated artwork, temporary installations. It allows us to purchase 2D work that goes and travels from different public buildings. It does a lot of things. Some of the stuff that we've been doing now in the last year and a half as a way of just responding to both the pandemic, Black Lives Matter, and other social justice movements are some of these programs that you see here. Support Beam is one program that we offered in the last year and a half, which when the pandemic hit, obviously a lot of artists, a lot of jobs that they had were just lost. And so Support Beam is a program that is sort of like this hybrid between an artist residency, but also just like allowing artists to continue to make art and get a stipend for that art making practice to sustain them through this, through ultimately what the pandemic and its consequences caused. Another thing that we've been actively engaged with in the program is the Black Portland Matters Art and Placemaking Initiative. And that's a partnership with RAC, City Repair, and Portland Bureau of Transportation. And what it does is these three organizations have partnered with Black-led organizations throughout the city to amplify and support Black artists through site-based art activations, and particularly of neighborhoods of significance for the Black communities here in Portland. So that's been something that has been ongoing since last year, and actually a number of events will be taking place over the summer and leading up to more work in the fall. And then we've done a number of collaborations with other community organizations throughout the last year and a half. And then at the very end here, Public Art Murals Program, that's also what I oversee. And that is, the Public Art Murals Program is one of two entities that permits murals within the city of Portland. And for our program in particular, in addition to permitting, we also offer funding for murals. So up to $5,000 per application. So there's a lot that we do, and I'll stop. If you have any questions, feel free to ask at any point, but I'm gonna turn it over to Daniela.
All right, so I'll give you a little bit of info about Open Signal. So there you have a photo of our facilities. We're on Northeast Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard at Graham Street. And that is where the mural will be, right there on bustling MLK. In this photo, you see our building activated by, as part of the Portland Winter Lights Fest. We had an event called Perception, and we invited a bunch of analog video artists to light up our building. As far as background about Open Signal, we started, actually this year is our 40th anniversary. We started as a cable access center. So all of the local access channels go through us. We program them, and a big chunk of the shows on there are made either using our resources or made using our studios. So in those 40 years, first we were Portland Cable Access, then Portland Community Media, and now we're Open Signal. We've gone through a lot of growth and changes during those 40 years, and expanded to be more of a general media arts organization. So moving to not just doing cable access. So we do a lot of education. We have a lot of different programs, and it's for media makers in general. So here you'll see our little mission statement. We envision an anti-racist media future, and we strive to be a media arts resource, unlike anything else in the Northwest. We offer media education and equipment library, production studios, and artist residencies. So we see ourselves as a people-powered alternative to corporate media. We broadcast 5 cable channels, and we have an online network with locally produced non-commercial content. So we really believe in resource reallocation and putting equipment and knowledge in the hands of the folks in our community, the folks in our neighborhood. Also wanted to note that, you know, during the pandemic, we've been working really hard as a staff and a community to focus on actually making sure that our resources are going to those who have historically had the least access to media making tools, communities of color, English language learners, and disabled and low income communities. So we do that through our Black Filmmaker Initiative. We also have a project-based program where folks are offered one-on-one facilitation to complete a media project, and through nonprofit partnerships with mission-aligned organizations in town and programs like Fresh Paint. So I'll let Salvador tell you about what is fresh paint.
Here we go. So yeah, and I guess before I go there, we'll just talk a little bit about how the collaboration came to be. Um, Probably in like 2015, 2016, I actually, that's when I started RAC. I started at RAC, and then during that period, my other colleague who actually created the murals program and also started Fresh Paint with me and Daniela and the folks at Open Signal, we were taking a lot of meetings with artists who just were like interested in mural making. And a lot of it was like, I just want to create a mural. Where can I find a space? Where can I find a space? And RAC is one thing that, you know, although we permit murals and we fund murals, we don't actually have like an inventory of walls. That's something that definitely has come up in its long-term future goals. But at this point, it really is incumbent on an artist or a community organization to find a wall to paint. So we were thinking, would it be great if we could have a program in which we provided the wall and then artists could just paint on it. So we started to look at different neighborhoods around the city. And at one point we were, I think we were approached by Open Signal at that time, Portland Communities Media, who were going through this evolution. And they had a wall on MLK and we're like, you know, we'd love for it to be activated with some art. And we're like, well, we've got this idea. What do you think? And so that really was the genesis of this partnership of two organizations who have different resources and want to see something like this occur. Am I missing anything, Daniela?
I think that about covers it, yeah.
So when we were thinking about who was this for, it was really important for us that we were centering this on folks historically that have been underrepresented in the mural making world in particular. And so we knew that we wanted this to be aimed at emerging artists of color. So basically artists who've never painted a mural before, at least an exterior mural in the city of Portland. And we knew it was something temporary because we wanted to offer this. There was something neat about the idea of the wall sort of being dynamic, and that, you know, every few months something new would happen there, and sort of being known as like, oh yeah, there's going to be a new artist that's going to be creating there at that spot. What will that look like? What perspective, what unique style will be, you know, highlighted. So those were all sort of the things that we were thinking about when we were thinking of this program. And then ultimately also it being paid, that was a big part of it. Is so often we have found that artists, and it, you know, it's a thing where they go and they create, and the expectation is that they should create for free, and that is just simply not the truth. We believe that artists need to be compensated for their time, for their work, as anyone else would be for anything else they're doing. So we wanted to make sure that this was a paid opportunity too for folks. Yeah.
So who is eligible for Fresh Paint? Fresh Paint is open to emerging artists who identify as a person of color and live in Clackamas, Clark, Multnomah, or Washington County, have a consistent visual art practice, and have not created an exterior wall mural in the city of Portland. So if you've done, you know, a mural in your friend's restaurant or on a fence or something, that's fine, but it's not like non-building infrastructures are fine. So yeah, this is really a way to, you know, get that experience working on a large scale. But yeah, it's pretty open to visual artists of color.
Yeah. And I should also say, if an artist has painted an exterior permanent mural in another city or outside of Portland, that's fine too. Um, it's just within the city of Portland that we're really looking at. So the selection process and criteria. So this is open to both individual artists as well as artist teams, because collaborations are beautiful and wonderful. And yeah, we want to support that too. So this is an opportunity for 2 different artists or artist teams. And the selection will be based on the strength of the artist or the team's past work. So both looking at maybe their individual work, but if it is a team, what is the strength of their collaboration? What does that look like? And if I should say, if it's a collaboration too that's never happened before, then recommending and we'll talk about the application materials, but like just letting or submitting images that are showcasing the different artists' strengths. And in the statement of interest, just articulating what do the artists envision how the collaboration will go and work out. And then also the ability of the artist team to complete the mural in a timely and professional manner. We allocate about 6 months for each mural, and we usually like the time between one mural ending and the new mural beginning to be as short as possible, because we ultimately want the mural to be there as long as it can be during that 6-month period. So yeah.
So if you're selected, what are you responsible for? You're responsible for creating a mural design. And this time around, we've kind of changed it. In the past, we've asked artists to submit a proposed design. This time around, we've added a stipend for development of the design. So keep that in mind. And then paint the mural as proposed. So keeping it pretty direct to the design that you end up proposing after selected. We also ask you to purchase and transport all the materials to the site. So yeah, the purchasing the materials is included in part of the stipend, and we do have a discount code with Miller Paint. So that has been where a lot of artists have gotten the paint for this. Ensure mural is painted in a timely manner. So, you know, when you're on site, we're pretty flexible. We work out a schedule between the artist and Open Signal for being on site. But you want to be realistic about your schedule and the scope of the design and, you know, your time and ability. So that's a conversation that happens after the design. But like Salvador mentioned, we want the mural to be up as long as possible during that 6-month period. And then collaborate with Open Signal staff. You know, most of the time that means me. So you and I are in pretty good contact. Just making sure that things are running as smoothly as possible. We want to make this as painless as we can. It's fun.
Yes. So how to apply? The application materials you would submit on the RAC Opportunity Portal, which is our own application portal that we have. And let's see here. This is what it looks like for folks who've never gone. You would create your applicant profile, and then with it, you'd save that, and then you can apply to various opportunities that RAC has, whether they're grants or public art commissions. You'll find the Fresh Paint Commission project is in there. And so then you would submit your materials to that. If you have, you can save after each step. It will hold it in there. If you have any questions at any point, it's pretty self-explanatory, but if you find yourself being like, oh, I don't know how to get through this, or the portal sometimes just is finicky, please reach out. I am here to assist. I would be that contact for that, and we'll navigate it together to get you through it. Yeah.
All right, so we're going to talk about the actual application materials. Once you've made an account and you're in the Fresh Paint application, you're going to submit a statement of interest. So this statement just describes any experience you have that could be applicable to this project, and any past accomplishments that demonstrate your ability to complete the mural. And then if you're applying as a team, in the statement of interest, you would maybe want to elaborate on, you know, what role each individual would take and how you would kind of work collaboratively and how you anticipate working together. You'll also want to include 6 images of past work. You can include up to 8, but please don't include more than 2 images of the same work. And then with those images, you can include information like the title and the dimensions and the year. It's not required, but if you'd like, you can add some kind of brief conceptual information about the piece. Again, not required, but it is interesting to include for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it doesn't have to be much either if you decide to do it. I should say there's no expectation for that, because once you're selected, that really will be the period in which we will talk with you about what the design may be before you go into your actual design creation. So it's, yeah, if you want to, that's fine if you already know. But if you don't, that's totally fine too. And again, that's something that if selected, we collaboratively will work with you on. So let's see here. And so the installation date, so we're looking at choosing artists. For the first artist or artist team would begin in October of this year, and it would be up until March of next year. And then the second team or artist would begin in April of next year and go until September. Yeah. Which we, you know, initially when we started, we had about like 4 months, and then we had another artist who maybe did 5. We kind of like the idea of 6. It's long enough, but not like, you know, super long, just so, you know, it's sort of that happy medium is ultimately where we decided for us at 6 months.
All right, so the deadline to apply for this opportunity is 5 p.m. on Wednesday, July 14th of this year. So we're looking at 3-ish weeks from now, right? So we recommend just getting started on your application earlier rather than later. Just so that if anything comes up for you as you're filling out the application, when you're writing your statement of interest, we're here to help. So allowing enough time to get in touch if you need to.
Yes. And I love the picture. I'm not gonna lie, this is how I usually operate myself, which I'm realizing is an unhealthy way of being. I'm slowly working to change. So what happens after you submit? So the applications are going to be reviewed by a panel, and the panel is going to be composed actually of past Fresh Paint participants. So they know the experience, they've been through it themselves, and they'll be taking a look at the applications and then selecting 2 artists or artist teams that will be chosen for the next two installations. Once you are selected, Danielle and I will work with you on the design, and just in terms of letting you know how that process will be. And basically, as Danielle had mentioned, we will be paying a commission for that. So we'll definitely be paying you for your design phase work. And you'll get a period of time to create that. And then once you're finished, that's something then that we bring back to the panel, and they will be looking at the designs. And if there's any for feedback, for thoughts, and then from there, again, we work with you on whatever that may look like, and then ultimately signing off on it, and you are free to paint the work. So yeah, and usually, you know, we're thinking, because the deadline is in July 14th, so we're looking at probably artists to be contacted by some point in August, and giving you at least a month for that design phase work to come up with a concept. And then hopefully that first artist or artist team painting at the very end of September or early October, before the rain begins, because that's why we've timed it. We want to make sure we get it before it's super rainy and not feasible anymore.
All right, so when you're at OpenSignal and you've started your work, we will be taking a time lapse of your process. So that's kind of a fun little thing that you and I collaborate on, is we get up on the ladder and set up a camera to capture your process. And then after that, you will have a video of it, and it's very cute. So that started with Molly Mendoza's, the first one.
Yes. Oh, that's gonna take me actually to Molly Mendoza's time lapse. Well, it might be fun to share just a little bit of how that looked. And we'll talk also a little bit. Actually, this is a really good introduction to the group of artists that have already gone through the program. Molly was the first artist that was selected for Fresh Paint. And she painted, I believe, in May of like 2017. And it was her first mural that she had ever done. She's done a number of murals now, both for TriMet, as I mentioned, Lens Park. But this was her first. And yeah, this is just sort of what the process looked like for her, being at that site, which is, again, facing a very, you know, busy boulevard. And her design was inspired by the youth programming that was happening at OpenSignal at the time. So yeah, let me see if I can go back here and get rid of that. Actually, this is so weird because I've seen Zoom. There we go. Okay. Oh, that's so weird. Okay. Oh, got you. Thank you all for your patience as we're navigating this. Just on the fly, making things happen. Here we go. Okay. So all that being said, if you have any questions, I am there at the top. That is my information. Daniela's is at the bottom. Feel free to reach out to us. We're pretty responsive. Yeah, either by phone or email.
Yeah, hit us up. Salvador is your best bet for the actual application, and I can answer any questions you might have about the logistics with the facilities with the OpenSignal part.
Thank you both for all of that info. I think I've been waiting for someone to ask a question and they've not asked a question, and I've never had that happen before, but probably it's a testament to your thoroughness. So I'm gonna not take it personally, and neither should you. But all that to say, if anyone does have any questions they want to talk through while we're here as a group, okay, great. Someone has a question. I was just gonna say, sometimes it's helpful just to talk about it together in a group, because some people often have a question they don't realize, and then someone else asks it, and it's enlightening or prompts something else. And this is also a good time to talk through ideas that you might have or questions about your ideas. But I would also just reiterate that both Daniela and Salvador are able to be contacted directly. If you want to talk about your specific proposal or your qualifications before you even apply, that's completely welcome. We're happy to guide you or to talk through whether it makes sense for you to apply for this opportunity, if that's something you're wondering, or think through some of your ideas with you one-on-one. So let's jump into some of these questions that are in the chat. And then I also see we have a hand up, which is awesome. I'm going to start with one in the chat here, and then we'll jump over to you. The first question is, it's not clear to me if you need a design to apply or not. And I think this is a good thing to just review.
Yes, thank you for asking that. This is a change from previous years. In the past, we have asked artists to submit a proposed design. This time around, we've taken that out of the application. So you do not need to propose a design. You don't need to submit a design to be considered. We have incorporated the design process into the actual program. So once selected, we'll have basically like in September, like late August, September, early September, you'll work on the design of your mural, and you will get, there's a $500 stipend built in for that design process. So this is a change from past years. We realize that it just makes sense to pay you for your design process. So this is, the application is a request for qualifications. Those qualifications we went over about being an emerging artist of color, about living in the kind of larger Portland metro area, those counties we listed. But no, you do not need to submit a design.
Yep.
Thank you. Sushmita, would you like to turn your video on, or at least just your mic, and ask your question directly?
Yes, hi, thank you so much.
Hi.
Hi, Salvador. I have a question. I'm a folk artist from doing a folk art of India, and I'm an artist. So I have an idea, but I have been hesitant to apply for any murals because I have zero experience painting outdoor murals. And I am, there have been so many opportunities and I've been nervous about it. I don't know why, but today I was like, okay, fine, let's just do this and see. Is there any support and help available for somebody who has no experience of doing this?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you for asking that. You know, what we have done, and I should say, so some of the artists that have done the project before, like Molly, right, they've never painted an exterior mural before. So it's something that we expect and look and know that this is why this program exists, the value of an artist who's never done that work. This is the opportunity to do that work. But what's been really great is that the cohort of artists that have come through the program, because they understand it, they've all been really open and willing to be there for the next artist who's selected. So we often connect artists with the other ones who have come through the program if they want to talk about like gridding, or they want to talk about projection, or they want to talk about paint, or, you know, here's a look at my design. What might you recommend in terms of scaling it up, right? Like all those kinds of things. We really do go back to our cohort of artists as a resource, and and connecting them with the new artists, if that's something they're looking for. I think one of the things for long term too, though, it's definitely been in conversation, and we've been talking about, which is like, how could we actually create something that's maybe like an evergreen resource where that kind of information lives. And that's something I know that at least in the public art murals program at RAC, we've talked about and we'll be exploring. But there's also something really beautiful about the camaraderie and the mentorship that happens with other artists, and realizing like ultimately, like, there's nothing that can replace relationships. So I think that's one of the advantages of the program, is that there are others that have come through it, and they've been really open to helping the next artist if that's something they're looking for. So yeah.
Great. Yes, that's what I've been looking for, because we don't have any, like training schools or something for murals right now. It's impossible to go afford classes to learn about how to paint a mural. So, so many opportunities came up, and a lot of artists I know had to give up because we were all just a little intimidated by how are we going to do this, and so yeah, thanks. That helps a lot.
You're welcome.
Thanks for asking your question. That's great. I'm sure that's helpful to other people as well. I think I'm going to move to the other questions in the chat, but if anybody else wants to ask one here in person, just put your hand up, and we'll be happy to do that. Someone asks, is the size of the mural limited to the size of a frame, or, and then
So,
oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, sorry, go ahead.
No, I think it's a different question. They continued on later, but we'll start there.
Okay, yeah. So the placement of the mural is so it's Open Signals building. It's on Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, and we've kind of designated, we have a chunk of that wall that we've designated as the fresh paint mural space. So the mural does not need to be a rectangle that fills that space. It can be more free form, but we have, I think I need to look up the dimensions of the actual space. But you can be creative with like the framing of it. It doesn't need to be, just a rectangle. It's just a matter of, how you decide to use that space. I think I'm going to need to take a moment to get the measurements real quick.
Oh, Danielle,
That's
I have them. It's 9 feet high by 18 feet wide.
Perfect.
Thanks, both of you. This year, are you selecting 2 individuals or 2 teams of painters?
So it's 2 installations, and it's either or. It could be an artist team or an artist for either of the installations. I hope that's helpful.
Thanks for asking. I think that's some good clarity. Thanks, Sal. Do you have some equipment there that we could borrow, like ladders? And also, I hope you could provide some space in your facility to keep the materials during the process.
Yes, so you won't have to bring your own ladders. We have ladders of various sizes at our facilities. So if you're selected, we'll work together to figure out what supplies we have at Open Signal that work best for your proposed design. And we do have space in the facilities to store your equipment while you're working. And also, if you'd like to store your paint there for a while afterwards, we definitely have storage space. You won't need, so you will provide the materials to do the actual painting, but we'll have the ladders. And also, it is on a busy street. This is something to keep in mind. MLK can get pretty hectic. So while you're painting, we have signage and cones to kind of make it so that you can carve out some working space.
Thanks, Daniela. I think that's a good segue to the next question, which is about the location. In addition, has there been a cause of the artwork that has been manipulated by passerby or random artists? So maybe what's been an experience about having a public piece on MLK in that space? And then the follow-up to that is, are we supposed to repair it during the 6-month time frame if there is any interference there? Or I shouldn't say interference, manipulation was a good word.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think. I think we've been very fortunate with this project that we haven't really experienced, I mean, yeah, we haven't really experienced any like damage or graffiti to the mural. And but I think I would recommend that bonus to kind of storing your paint at Open Signal is if there did happen to be any damage or graffiti that happened to the piece during the 6 months. We hope that we would be able to work with you to do a quick touch up on it. So that would be the best. You know, I'll be honest, we have another installation on MLK that's a public telephone. That has been a magnet for some damage, but I think that the murals have been just really appreciated and we've avoided that.
Thanks. It seems to me like a lot of your responses, Daniela, to all of these questions, as different as they are really emphasizing a partnership between this artist and Open Signal especially. This opportunity, I think, is designed to be supportive as a professional development opportunity. So that I hope that you feel that and that the collaboration can prove that way. Let's do a couple more here if you guys are willing. I see we have 8 minutes left in our allotted time. If anybody does have additional questions, just drop them in, but also we're happy to chat afterwards too. On average, how long have past installations taken to complete?
It depends. I think it depends on what kind of design it is and also the artist's experience of working in large scale or scaling up. And then also what does the artist already have on their plate? You know, we definitely know that when it comes time to painting for any artist, you know, it's rare that they're given the luxury of like being able to like take, you know, a week or 2 weeks just to set, you know, full days painting on something. They have responsibilities and other commitments. And so it really just depends on what's on the artist schedule, what is it that they're designing or they're painting, and then also what is it that they are, what's their experience level in some of those areas. So all that to say, it's been a range. Some artists have, you know, they've done it in a week. Other artists have taken a few weeks. Some artists, we work with artists to create a schedule. And so, you know, some artists are like, yeah, I'm coming in on the weekends and I'm coming in, you know, evenings. Others, they do actually, they take that time off. They're like, no, I've set this particular amount of time for me to tackle this. And so I will be here doing full days. And so it really just depends. But as Anna had mentioned, it's a conversation between us and the artists, and we work that out. We figure that out together. So.
Thank you. 2 more here. The wall will be white and ready to paint, or do we need to prep it before? And then I'm just gonna throw the next one at the same time. How much are the honorariums / money available for each project?
So the wall will be ready for you. So in between the murals, we work out getting the wall, resetting the wall back to white. So you would not need to worry about that. You'll show up and it'll be ready to go. As far as the honorariums, so the total for the project is $2,500 per artist or team for that 6-month period. The $2,000 is your stipend and materials. So you'll be buying the paint out of that. And then there is the $500 that is for the development of the design.
Thank you. And thanks for both of those questions, Virginia. I think I've gotten to everything that's in the chat. Holler if I missed it, but I think at this point I would say thank you to everyone who joined us tonight, and thank you for these great questions and engaging with us here. And Salvador and Daniela, thank you both so much for all of the information and for being willing to answer some of these things for folks, and also for being available after this in various capacities for follow-up and conversation. Thank you, Daniela, for dropping your email in there. That is Daniela's contact info, and Salvador, if I can have you do the same, thank you. And earlier in the chat, I linked to the details about this opportunity, which I will just throw back down here again. Click on the links in that PDF for the application portal, like to apply. It's down there, I think on the second page or third page. And if you have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to either of these two email addresses. We really want to support you in the application process, as well as supporting the artist going forward. So yeah, thank you guys. Thanks for your kind words here in the chat, and thanks for joining us. You can, if you want to review this, it has been recorded, and we'll make that available both on OpenSignal and RAC social media channels, I would think, or websites. And you're welcome to do that. And again, I think everything that we covered is also in that PDF that I just linked. What am I missing, guys?
Yep.
Anything?
No,
Okay.
yeah, this recording will be available immediately after, but we will make sure to share it on OpenSignal and RAC social media. I just want to say thank you again for everyone for showing up and asking questions and being really engaged with this process. I know that we are all really excited to get this going, and yeah, just take a look at all of your amazing work. Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, everyone. It's great seeing y'all here.
Thank you.
All right, everyone have a lovely Tuesday evening. Good to see you.
Yes.
Good to see
Thank
you. Thank you
you.
so much.
See ya.
Goodbye.
Yeah.